The new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, also known as New START, is a bilateral agreement between the United States and Russia that aims to reduce the number of deployed nuclear warheads and delivery systems. The original START Treaty was signed in 1991 and expired in 2009. Negotiations for a new treaty began in 2009 and were completed in 2010. The New START Treaty limits each country to a maximum of 1,550 deployed nuclear warheads, which is approximately 30% lower than the limit set by the previous treaty. It also limits the number of deployed intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, and heavy bombers to 700, with a combined limit of 800 for deployed and non-deployed systems. In addition to the numerical limits, the treaty includes a number of transparency and verification measures. For example, each country must provide regular updates on the status of its nuclear forces, and both sides must exchange data on the number of warheads and delivery systems they possess. The treaty also allows for on-site inspections of nuclear facilities and the use of national technical means, such as satellites, to monitor compliance. The New START Treaty has been hailed as a significant achievement in arms control, as it represents a major step towards reducing the number of nuclear weapons in the world. Supporters argue that reducing the number of nuclear weapons and increasing transparency between the U.S. and Russia can help to build trust and reduce the risk of a catastrophic nuclear war. They also point out that the treaty has been instrumental in preventing an arms race between the two countries. However, the treaty has also faced criticism from some quarters. Some have argued that the limits set by the treaty are too high, and that the U.S. and Russia should work towards the goal of complete nuclear disarmament. Others have criticized the treaty for failing to address other countries that possess nuclear weapons, such as China, India, and Pakistan. The future of the New START Treaty has been uncertain in recent years. The Trump administration initially sought to withdraw from the treaty, citing concerns about Russian non-compliance and the need to negotiate a more comprehensive arms control agreement that included China. However, the Biden administration has expressed its commitment to the treaty and extended it for an additional 5 years in February 2021. In conclusion, the New START Treaty represents a significant achievement in arms control and is a step towards reducing the number of nuclear weapons in the world. While it has faced criticism from some quarters, many experts agree that the treaty has been instrumental in preventing an arms race between the U.S. and Russia and reducing the risk of a catastrophic nuclear war. The extension of the treaty by the Biden administration is a positive development, and it is hoped that the U.S. and Russia will continue to work towards further reductions in their nuclear arsenals in the years to come. The extension of the New START Treaty by the Biden administration was a welcome development, as it had been uncertain whether the treaty would be renewed. Negotiations between the U.S. and Russia on arms control had stalled during the Trump administration, which had sought to withdraw from the treaty and pursue a more comprehensive agreement that included China. However, the extension of the treaty by the Biden administration is only a temporary measure. The treaty will expire in 2026. And it is unclear whether the U.S. and Russia will be able to negotiate a new agreement before then. There are also concerns that the deteriorating relationship between the U.S. and Russia could make it difficult to reach a new agreement. Another challenge facing the New START Treaty is the issue of modernization. Both the US and Russia are investing heavily in modernizing their nuclear arsenal, which could undermine the reductions achieved by the treaty. Some experts have argued that the US and Russia should focus more on disarmament and less on modernization if they are serious about reducing the risk of a nuclear war. Despite these challenges, the New START Treaty remains an important achievement in arms control. It has helped to reduce the number of nuclear weapons in the world and increase transparency between the US and Russia. It has also helped to prevent an arms race between the two countries, which could have had catastrophic consequences for the world. Moving forward, it is important for the US and Russia to continue to work towards further reductions in their nuclear arsenals. This will require sustained dialogue and cooperation between the two countries, as well as a commitment to disarmament and the reduction of nuclear risks. It is hoped that the New START Treaty will serve as a foundation for future arms control agreements, and that the world will continue to move towards a safer and more secure future. Another challenge facing the New START Treaty is the fact that it only applies to the US and Russia. As other countries continue to develop and modernize their nuclear arsenals, there is a risk that the world could become more unstable and dangerous. Some experts have called for a more comprehensive approach to arms control that includes all nuclear armed states, as well as countries that possess the technology to develop nuclear weapons. One proposal that has been put forward is the idea of a nuclear weapons convention, which would ban the production, possession, and use of nuclear weapons by all countries. This would require a global effort, but it could provide a more effective solution to the problem of nuclear proliferation and the current patchwork of bilateral and multilateral arms control agreements. In the meantime, the US and Russia can continue to build on the progress made by the New START Treaty. They can work to reduce the number of nuclear weapons in their arsenals, increase transparency and verification methods, and address concerns about modernization. They can also work together to address other nuclear-related challenges, such as nuclear terrorism and the risks associated with nuclear power. Ultimately, the success of the New START Treaty and other arms control agreements will depend on the political will of the countries involved. The US and Russia have a special responsibility to lead the way, given their large nuclear arsenals and history of confrontation. By working together and demonstrating a commitment to disarmament and the reduction of nuclear risks, they can help to create a safer and more secure world for all. In conclusion, the extension of the New START Treaty is an important step towards reducing the risks of a nuclear war between the US and Russia. While the treaty is not perfect and faces several challenges, it has helped to reduce the number of nuclear weapons in the world and increase transparency between the two countries. It also serves as a foundation for future arms control agreements and highlights the importance of sustained dialogue and cooperation between nuclear-armed states. Looking ahead, the US and Russia must continue to work towards further reductions in their nuclear arsenals and address concerns about modernization. They must also work towards a more comprehensive approach to arms control that includes all nuclear-armed states, and consider more ambitious proposals such as a Nuclear Weapons Convention. By doing so, they can help to create a world that is safer and more secure for all and reduce the risk of a catastrophic nuclear war. If the US and Russia were to withdraw from the New START treaty, it could have serious consequences for global security. Without the treaty's limits on the number of strategic nuclear warheads and delivery systems, there could be an increased risk of an arms race between the two countries, as well as a heightened risk of nuclear conflict. Additionally, the withdrawal of the US and Russia from the New START treaty could undermine the global non-proliferation regime and set a negative precedent for other countries with nuclear weapons or the capability to develop them. Therefore, it is important for the US and Russia to continue to work together to implement the treaty and address its challenges, rather than withdrawing from it. The New START treaty provides an important foundation for transparency and verification between the US and Russia, and for future arms control agreements. Furthermore, the New START treaty plays a critical role in maintaining stability in the relationship between the US and Russia. The treaty has helped to reduce tensions between the two countries and increase trust, which is particularly important given the history of conflict and competition between the US and Russia during the Cold War. If the US and Russia were to withdraw from the treaty, it could signal a shift towards a more confrontational relationship, which could have far-reaching implications beyond the issue of nuclear weapons. It could further undermine cooperation on other issues, such as counterterrorism, cybersecurity, and regional conflicts. In the event that the US and Russia do withdraw from the New START treaty, it would be important for the international community to encourage both countries to engage in dialogue and negotiations to reduce the risk of nuclear conflict. The international community, including other nuclear armed states, could also work to promote arms control and disarmament through other mechanisms, such as the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, NPT, and the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, CTBT. In conclusion, the withdrawal of the US and Russia from the New START treaty would have serious implications for global security and stability. It is therefore important for both countries to continue to work together to implement the treaty and address its challenges, rather than withdrawing from it. This will require sustained dialogue and cooperation, as well as a commitment to reducing the risks of nuclear conflict and promoting arms control and disarmament. Additionally, the US and Russia withdrawing from the New START treaty could also have economic consequences. The treaty has facilitated cooperation between the two countries in the area of nuclear disarmament, which has led to significant cost savings for both countries. The modernization and maintenance of nuclear arsenals is an expensive endeavor, and the limits set by the treaty have allowed both countries to reduce costs in this area. Moreover, the US and Russia withdrawing from the New START treaty could also have a negative impact on the global nuclear order. The treaty is one of the few remaining arms control agreements between the US and Russia, and its dissolution could signal a weakening of the international norm against nuclear weapons. This could encourage other countries to pursue nuclear weapons programs, which would increase the risk of nuclear proliferation and instability. It is important to note that the New START treaty has broad support from the international community, including non-nuclear weapon states. This is because the treaty is seen as an important step towards nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation, which are key goals of the international community. In summary, the withdrawal of the US and Russia from the New START treaty would have a range of consequences, including increased risks of nuclear conflict, economic costs, and damage to the global nuclear order. Therefore, it is important for both countries to continue to work together to implement the treaty, address its challenges, and uphold the norms of nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation. If the US were to withdraw from the New START treaty, it could have serious consequences for global security. The treaty is one of the few remaining arms control agreements between the US and Russia, and its dissolution could signal a shift towards a more confrontational relationship between the two countries, which could increase the risk of nuclear conflict. Moreover, if the US were to withdraw from the treaty, it would likely damage the credibility of the US on issues related to arms control and non-proliferation. This could make it more difficult for the US to persuade other countries to cooperate on these issues, and could lead to a further breakdown in international cooperation on disarmament and non-proliferation. Additionally, the withdrawal of the US from the New START treaty could lead to a renewed arms race between the US and Russia, which would have economic and security implications for both countries. The modernization and maintenance of nuclear arsenals is an expensive endeavor, and an arms race could divert resources away from other important areas, such as healthcare and education. In conclusion, the withdrawal of the U.S. from the New START treaty would have serious implications for global security, and could lead to a breakdown in international cooperation on disarmament and nonproliferation. It is therefore important for the U.S. to continue to uphold its commitments under the treaty, and to work with Russia to address the treaty's ongoing challenges and ensure its effective implementation.